Hey guys, welcome to the Chart Request Live. It is a new team today, so it's me and Alfonso. We haven't gotten to do this together. I was just telling him earlier, like I'm excited to do this with Alfonso. One, I like Alfonso. Two, I know he's good with charts. Part of me was like, I told Gene, I said maybe I'll take the charts. I said, you know what? No, Alfonso will take the charts. It'll be much better. You guys will be much happier with this. So, how are you doing today, Alfonso?
Very good, very good. Very excited. I mean, our first time together doing this show, and yeah, you have different perspective, different ways, maybe to charting. And I'm excited. I'm excited, and I know we have a bunch of charts and tickers in the mailbox in the chat. So yeah, let's start.
All right, let's do it. If you guys have any extra charts that you guys want to see, put the ticker in the chat and we'll get to it. So, first off, it looks like long BTI to catch up to PM. So, the
So,
catch up trade
oh, okay. So BTI,
Mhm. to
yeah,
catch up to Philip Morris, PM.
yeah. I mean, so bit. Let me PM here.
There we go.
Yeah, this chart looks very similar. PM, it made new all-time highs here. Right now, in the last few days, has been retracing some of their gains, right? So let me take a look again. Philip Morris here. And this is a nice base. I mean, it makes sense to see, this move here retrace some back of the gains after that historic run. It went basically parabolic. After this bounce in early this year. So for me, it would make sense to see some consolidation here in PM. And for BTI, it's a great chart, a great chart, nice pattern here. We're talking basically about a bearish to bullish reversal pattern here, trying to catch up to new all-time highs. I think, I think there is no reason to see BTI, catching up to new all-time highs over longer time frames. The pattern and the setup, it's right there. And I think if we're above, as long as we're above 47, for me, the path of least resistance for BTI is higher. So the charts are looking very good.
Yeah, I think this, once again, something that you guys always want to look at, which is when you see something like you're looking at two things in the tobacco industry. I think this is a really good pickup for Wavy actually picked this up. Of course, it was Wavy, but a really good pickup because we're seeing relative strength in BTI compared to Philip Morris at the moment. That's usually when you see these runs continue, and like the next high hitting up around that $73 level. I think that's probably a chip shot from here. Granted, it's a big move, but this is a stock that'll probably do that. It might take a little bit of time, but I think it could get there. So definitely good pickup. Love this chart. I love that we're talking about tobacco stocks in 2025. What's funny to me is like if you go back to, let's say even 5 years ago, so many people would be so mad about talking about tobacco stocks, and it's like they still make money. I understand like some of their companies had to change, they have to do different things, but once again, a lot of those companies still make money and they've been around a long time. So next chart, and this is the question. It's actually just a question. Can you see a chart of crypto sushi swap? I don't even know what that is.
I think those are from last week, Jason.
Oh, that's last week.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, so yeah, we took a look at those charts last week. I think
Okay.
we can start with Preem,
Yes.
the single
PCP.
ticker. Let's see. Very nice chart. I mean, when I see this type of charts, really, really nice. They both super well. This fave levels here. Let me put a monthly chart here so you can see it, right?
Yes.
So Supreme is a 5 billion, energy and construction company in industrial. I mean, industrial has been doing very great, very good these days. Materials is catching up too. We're seeing some, momentum building up and accelerating higher. So let me see where can we find some levels. I think here, if we take the fib extension from the 2021 and 2022, base, this massive base here, I think, the extensions fits very well. And, we're just in the middle of a bull market. This is a completely, this is a beautiful V recovery, right? This year it happened. Now we're making the all-time highs. I think you can define your risk here about 83. If you want more conviction, I will just define risk around this, former all-time high from January 2025, sorry, around 1992. So, this is a beautiful chart. The uptrend is still intact. It seems that we're breaking out of this small base, of this multi-month base here, and I think price is setting up for a new leg higher. However, we may see some consolidation and digestions here at this resistance level, at this interest level for investor. So, I think above 83, the passive little resistance for premiums, it's higher potential, target or potential target around 124. But this chart looking very, very good.
No, I really like that chart.
Yeah, and if you look at the relative trend relative to the industrial sector, it's carving out that bearish to bullish reversal pattern. It's pulling back a little bit right now, but as long as we're above that October high from last year, I think we have a like a real leader in this name. So I really like this one.
No, I really like the industrial space. I think it's I think it's the leading sector this year in the spider sectors as well. So the industrial is leading all the sectors at the moment in the spider sector. So that's pretty interesting. So what's the next one? mRNA. So we're looking at Myrna. Haven't heard that name in a little while. Interesting.
Ooh, I know. But this one is interesting, right? This one is a really good chart. Really interesting chart. Price is right there, bouncing and catching some bid at the 2019 highs. I mean, it's been a while, right? It's been a while, but everything started, with this name, everything started at this level, I will say, around this level, around 28 or 29. So the matter, we're right here. It's not a coincidence that this former resistance from 2019, it's acting as support. After being like down 95%,
wow,
has to stop at one level, right?
Moderna was an interesting one back in 2020, and that level you're talking about, I can remember it clearly. Like my girl at the time, she was working in Medicare, and I was working in finance, obviously. So I'm trading for a big fund at that time. We couldn't have conversations with each other because she was actually launching the vaccines. So for Ohio, so like I would know, like I could know exactly when it was going to happen. Now, granted, I trade futures. I don't really trade the individual stocks, but at the same time, it could be considered insider trading, even if I was like long a sector and so on. So, that was an interesting time. And then that thing took off like crazy. I do think XBI, Moderna, like what's the other one? IBB. These all look very good right now for some sort of a setup. Not saying like, hey, these are breaking out to new highs. I'm just saying like we got a nice false breakdown signal in a lot of these, and this sector hasn't moved in a long time. And for me, we're in a very risk-on market. It would be surprising to me to see biotechs not start to outperform here. So I think that this is an interesting time to start looking at that area. I'm glad somebody brought up a biotech stock because nobody's been talking about them for a while. But this could be definitely a good time to start looking that direction.
Yeah, I know, and I love that you mentioned biotech. I mean, it's being part of that rotation. Especially this month, mostly this month, and I think it will make sense to see some rotation in some of these laggards because at the end of the day, in bull markets, the laggard groups tend to catch up to the leaders, I think we're seeing right now with biotech. So right now, this is a chart of IBB. Here in this chart, here in this ETF, you have the bigger names, right? Right now, we just completed this short-term pattern here. It's resolving higher. The blue line here, it's a VWAP from the pivot high from September 2024. And if we look at XBI, the chart's looking very, very similar. If we drop the VWAP from this pivot high from November, we're holding it right now. It acted as resistance in June of this year, and now it's flipping and it's turning into support. And what I like about this pattern, about this chart, it's how tight this consolidation is. And you brought a really nice chart to the morning show that's showing commodities coiling very, very tight. And the reason that these consolidations and this contraction of volatility are so important is that from contraction, volatility comes expansion comes. We tend to see wild moves in either direction, right? But if we're in a bull market and everything is working, everything is making new highs, why not seeing biotechs, resolving higher and catching up? I think that's what is coming. So,
great point. Yeah, and I think that's just to add to that a little bit. For me, when I'm looking at like any type of pattern, if it's a flag, if it's a pennant, whatever it is, it's mainly just telling me volatility is low at that moment and it's leading to an expansion. And we're seeing that in the biotech space. So I think it's a great setup here. I love that you guys picked up this chart. I love that Alfonso found it kind of bouncing off of those 2020 levels. That's very exciting, very bullish for it. I think it could absolutely make a move here. Definitely an interesting chart.
Yeah, and in the short term, it's carving out, a base. It needs more work to do, that for sure. But the first step to start going up, it's stop going down. And right now, we're seeing that Moderna stopped going down, basically April 7. I mean, the same time as the market bottom. And right now, it's carving out a gradually short-term base. It will need more time. But at least it's carving out. It's giving some positive signals for this name. So yeah, this is a good name. And I kind of like this pattern here. Maybe for a short-term trade, short-term bet, maybe using options. Short-term options. Why not?
So no, I think that's the way to play it. I think that's a good way to play it. Short-term. We're not sure if it's really going to get out of this base. This is a daily chart here, but something short term targeting, what would you think, Alfonso, for a target?
For a target? Yeah, I think this thing could go, I don't know, like this name could easily double, to be honest.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. A target itself right now, maybe we drop a VWAP from this pivot high, and we can, I don't know, like 45. Yeah. 45 could be a short-term target.
Yeah.
Also like this low from November 2023, around 65. But right now it will be more focused, to see how this short-term pattern develops. We know that this type of bases and reversal patterns take time to develop and to break out and change the trend, basically. So yeah, let's see
where it goes. Love that. So Zip is the next one. The healthcare. Zip is the next one.
Okay. Oh, from the
ASX.
Yeah. No, here, right?
Yes. Sorry.
Okay.
Oh.
Well, what's the market cap of this name? 400 million market cap. Downtrend, ugly chart. I wouldn't buy it, to be honest.
No, I wouldn't touch it.
I don't know if it's liquid enough, to be honest. Yeah, not for me. I mean, if we're having in a solid bull market and a stock, it's hovering and flirting with new all-time lows, then it's not something that I want to be in, to be honest.
Yeah, I think it's it says a lot when when you first start trading, or you're new to trading, or even people who've been around a long time who are looking at a fundamental story. Like, you always want to buy these things as they're crashing. Like, that comes into your brain and you're like, okay, well, it's cheap here, possibly a double bottom setup. You'll tell yourself anything, but it's showing the opposite of relative strength. When to me, what fundamentals are, they matter to me, but at the same time, it's the price is always going to matter more, because it's telling you that something is wrong with the stock. Like, something is wrong with it. Something's wrong with the company. Nobody wants it for some reason. In the middle of a bull market. If this was a bear market, that would be a normal chart. It's a bull market, like Alfonso said. Everything's moving up, and this thing's kind of getting killed. Not a big fan of it. Just not for me.
No, and that's a great explanation. I mean, because especially when you start trading, yeah, you always think, oh, it's cheap, but cheap could be cheaper every time. And I think the chart showed that, and showed that theme. And I wanted to show a couple examples in this same chart, in this same stock. Back in 2022, broke support, pullback, continue lower. You could have like the same mentality here. Very similar pattern compared to where we are right now. It broke down, pulled it back to the same level. Here in December, January of this year, the same thing, right? Oh, okay. I will buy it here, right? This pivot low from August 2024. Could act support. The stock is even more cheaper. And what happened next? We started at new leg lower. Right now, we got some pullback here, and we are now at the scene of the crime. Maybe this time is different. I don't know, but I try to avoid these downtrends, especially in bull markets like this one. So
yeah, and when things are, it's the thing that a lot of people like to do, and I was one of those as well, where something's up high. Like, look at gold. Everybody's right now saying we got to short it. It's going to fall. It's going to crash. It's just don't bet against uptrends, and don't bet on downtrends. That's as simple as it is to explain, like, how to trade well. Something that's important to think about when good traders trade is good traders usually get more optimistic as the market is proving them right. So, for example, when it's moving up in price, I'm going, okay, this is working. This is great. I'm just moving up my trailing stop and calling it a day. And then new traders, or people who aren't very experienced in trading, as things get cheaper, they get more optimistic and they go, okay, I can buy more. I'll double my position. This thing's going to move up at some point. And once again, like, you could always be right. Once again, like, that could be the bottom for that. This could be the top for gold. These could both inverse. However, you're betting on the lowest probability bet. And so as a trader, you always want to bet on the highest probability bet, and that is that trends persist. So if trends persist and gold is moving up, I want to bet in the way of the trend. Same if the trend is moving down. I don't want to bet on it moving up if it's moving down.
I mean, couldn't explain it better, man. I love it. I will save that segment and create like a reel or a shorty, because it's a really good explanation.
Thanks.
Really nice. Really nice. So what do we have next?
Long-term upside targets for AXS.
AXS. Okay. Okay, long-term target. Okay, let's see this chart. It's very similar to the first one that we show. So this is a weekly chart. Perhaps some extensions here. Yeah, I mean, this chart is looking good. Let me say it's $7.5 billion. It's an insurance company. And it's looking good. It's looking good. It's pretty easy for me, this chart and the way I look at it, right?
Yeah.
Basically, summer last year, we broke out of a monster base, multi-year base, and we embarked on a new leg higher. The price was directly to the 161 extension here. It consolidated a little bit, and this year in April broke out, and right now we're above that former resistance level around 94, right? So for me, if we're above 94, the path of the resistance is higher. I like 133 for the couple of next month, and over longer time frames, we have I don't want to be too optimistic because we don't know what is going to happen. But I will wait first to hit 133, and then we can decide if we can go to around 200 over longer time frames. But right now, 133, I think it's more it's a real option at this point. But always, as long as we are above 94, we're below 94. I think we can I think price could get choppy here. It could be a mess here, and it could consolidate a little bit more around this area. But buyers needs to step in here. Make this movement to be like a pullback, and then price bounce and continue higher. What do you think?
No, I like it. I think it's a great chart. I think the sector has been holding up really well. Something to also just think about. It's been holding up very well this whole cycle. Basically, very recently, it's just been holding up really well, continuing to kind of do decently, outperforming the S&P 500 basically since 23, 24. So it looks really good. And this is also one that also pays a lot of dividends. So at the same time, it might be a little bit slower than some of the things you guys want to be in, but it's going to basically pay you to kind of stay with it. And not to mention, it is also in an uptrend. It is also making money, and the stocks inside of it look great. So I really do like this sector. I'm very interested in it and just staying long it.
Perfect. Yeah. And one more point, here's AXS. Relative to insurance ETF, carving out a beautiful base. Right now we're in an uptrend since its bottom in January of 2024. So we have a leader within this industry right in front of us, and the absolute trend cannot look any better right now. But always, as long as we stay above 94, that's a big level for me.
Yes, and I love the setup here, which is, hey, we're coming into a support area, we're coming into a fib extension, we're going to see support there, probably start headed back up to 133 pretty quickly. So this is a good one. I love the base, like you pointed out. This is a good one. We definitely both like it. So the next one is interesting, and one that's I've been looking at a lot lately, which is 3M.
3M. Okay. I remember that.
You brought that up lately. So this is a good one. I'm excited to talk about this a little bit. Look at a long-term chart of it too. It's kind of
long-term chart. Okay. Yeah.
It bounced right off of those levels in 24 and started to just move higher. Now it's kind of consolidating a little bit, looking like it's going to break out again. Definitely interested in 3M, definitely interested in chemical stocks. Also, for you guys that don't trade materials a ton, chemical stocks are also a part of the material sector. We are seeing XLB start to move like crazy. Some of these big names in the chemical stocks, they make a lot of money. They're companies that have been around a long time. Say what you want about them, but they make money and they move. So I definitely like these.
No, and especially when they move, they really move, So they can offer, a good opportunity. And they're good when they're starting to trend. So yeah, basically we're seeing here, 3M, bounce it back. It's critical, former resistance level from the 2004, 2007, 2011, and this area of former resistance flipped into support. And right now, we're in that stage and we're at that phase that we're carving out a, classic reversal base from this decline. Right, from the 2018, from the 2018 highs to 2020 lows. Let me see how many. The drawdown was 66%. That's wow. Huge. So it takes time to repair, that damage and digest all the damage you know, uh, done in the past. But right now, price is um, right there, below the 61 retracement level from this decline. I think buyers can be, absorbing the overhead supply at this key resistance level. It acted as support back in 2018. It acted as a resistance in 2021. So for me, 162, it's the big level. If we can break above 162, I think that will be a good signal that we are back on track. And this option from the past couple of years is back in gear, and we're probably heading towards new all-time highs. So for me, it's very simple, this chart, and it's getting tight at this point. So I like it. I like it too.
Yeah, I think this is going to be interesting, and for you guys who didn't trade during that time for those old 2018 highs, that was the VIX blow up day. So basically, everybody was shorting the VIX because we had the lowest volatility period ever in 2017. Basically, the market just went up. There was very little pullbacks. I don't even think we had a pullback over 5% that year in the S&P 500, which is crazy. And so everybody kept shorting the VIX. I think it got down to single digits, and then in January, the VIX exploded. Went very high, very quickly. Everybody who was shorting the VIX, there was a lot of funds at that time who were shorting the VIX. They blew up. They no longer even exist. And so now we're, coming back to these points, and now we've got things like 3M and some of these other material stocks starting to move. So I think this is going to be a significant time to start looking at this area. And, we're over the VWAP, getting above 60, the 61.8% extension would be a very good one to just say, hey, this is probably headed a lot higher, and we might be able to see those old highs from 2018.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. I mean, and when you look at the entire picture, it's a really nice base that it has been carving out in the past couple of years. I think, once above 162, you have the green light for me. So 162 for 3M, mark it up. Really nice chart.
Thanks for bringing it. That's a good chart. Great chart request. So next one is NRP wavy back to all-time highs.
NRP, is this a chart?
Another nice consolidation.
Yeah, I mean, let me see. Yeah, I mean, is it liquid enough? Doesn't seem too liquid, to be honest, but the chart pattern itself, it's looking good, right? I mean,
yeah.
You zoom out, it seems very, very tight here. I don't know if it's liquid enough, to be honest.
What's the size?
Like the market cap?
Yep.
Let me see, 1.4 billion.
Should be tradable, especially in that space.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, coal stocks are have been ripping higher these days. We have the BTU, trying to complete this base. I mean, not today. It's pulling back, terrible day, but they have been on the move lately. Now they are retracing some of their gains. But I think what's your position with coal stocks?
Yeah, I still like them. I think we're seeing a lot is they had a big move. Once again, when we're looking at these type of spaces, like whether we're looking at gold miners, coal miners, copper miners, whatever it is, they're smaller market cap names. There's not a ton of news around them. So like Apple's in the news every day, Microsoft's in the news every day. So those pullbacks are a little bit sharper and quicker. These things can have pretty nasty drawdowns, but the upside is unlimited, and that's the thing that you have to really think about here, which is having if you if you trade them like me, where you're using a trailing stop, you have to use a very wide trailing stop, and you have to really let these things run. It's very hard to do at first, because as a trader, at first you're using too big of size and so on. But once you get your size right, and you can get those small positions, and then you have a small position to make, something big. So most people understand this inherently. If I say, hey, you want a small position if you're buying a call option, people would go, of course, you want a small position in the call option. But if I say you want a small position in a stock, people go, well, I don't understand that. So think about it like a couple different ways. If you buy the S&P 500, if you're a swing trader and you see a 10% pullback, that's going to be huge in the S&P 500. In a resource stock or a gold mining stock, if you see a 20 to 30% pullback in some of these, that's not that large. That's just about normal. So you're going to have to use a wider stop. But the thing is, there's a lot more upside. So, if we're looking for 20% pullbacks, we might have a 200%, 300% move to the upside. You're never going to see that in the S&P 500. So smaller positions for higher volatility is always very important. And I do like that name. I think it's a good name. I think it's an interesting trade setup that we have right now. And I think that a lot of these resource stocks are going to probably get going.
Nice. Yeah, nice. Yeah, and it's good. I was just looking at the chart of MR. I remember it was one of probably, I think it was the best performing stock. Just look at that. Just look at that performance since it bottomed in 2020 and it peaked in 2024. That's insane. That's crazy. So yeah, that speaks what you were, just talking about.
Yeah.
So
these make big moves, and that's where the money's made. So I know everybody's like, excited about all these other things, but like, look, there's a lot of money in these resource names. There's a lot of money in the junior gold mining space, in the copper mining space, and so on. I wouldn't write it off. I would continue to be very interested in this area and seeing that there's a lot more upside probably to go.
Nice. Yeah, couldn't agree more.
So we got one chart from the chat, which is Frontline, ticker FRO.
FRO.
Yep, FRO. Haven't heard this name in a while. One of my old shipping picks from back in the day.
Okay.
Yep. So this is one of my old shipping picks. This is an old shipper. These things, one, they have an insane dividend most of the time, and the reason is that the stocks get hammered at times. They go up, they go down, but sometimes they make a ton of money. So I would still be open to it, especially if we're going to see oil moving. We're seeing the shipping index, dry bulk shipping, start to move quite a bit as well. So I do think that Frontline could probably make a nice move as well. Looking at it technically, I think there's a massive base here. And probably these old highs. If we get above those old highs, I would be very interested in this heading up to those, that $300 level would probably be very possible. So once again, though, these are very volatile stocks. Be very careful trading them. Just once again, it's small sizing. Size your position small, you'll always be okay. Make sure you're only losing a percent or a couple percent of your portfolio if it hits a stop. That's how you survive. That's how you make a lot of money in the markets.
Look, this chart is really, really good, and it's a really interesting topic, energy related. I will say for me, do you agree that the energy trade start with, with XLE breaking out about 95, 100? Will you expect, will you wait for that, until that, I'm not touching energy, or will you take, or will you take some shots and anticipate a potential breakout in energy? What are you seeing out there?
There's a new 100-day high coming up in energy. XLE could hit a new 100-day high pretty soon. So that's something that we're pretty close to. I think it's at the 92 level. If we get a close above 92, I think you could take a shot there. But once again, this is just we're seeing this washout in sentiment and energy over and over again, because as you see the chart, we're trying to break out. We don't. We're trying to break out again. We don't. It's like that one meme where it's like, I'm alive, I'm dead, I'm alive, I'm dead. It just keeps going back and forth. And so people now are just so frustrated that they don't even want to take this trade anymore. So for me, I think now's the time that this is probably going to work out. There's probably enough people who hate it, and it'll probably go to the upside, and then more people will have to chase it at that point. So I do think that it's worth taking a shot at in 92. for me, the way I do it is shot it means a half position. So I take a half position and then I go to a full position if we get the above those levels that Alfonso's talking about. Get above
Right.
102. I think this thing's probably going to take off and not look back.
Yeah. No, and what I like about the XLE, it's been consolidating right there, and pushing against that key resistance level, for the past 3 years, right? So buyers are absorbing all this overhead supply, which is, really important level right now. And I like that strategy, maybe anticipating when the stock makes 100-day highs. And yeah, 100, it's, the big level. If we break above 100, I think we could see, XLE go to 150. It will be huge. And speaking of anticipating, I think this chart is a great example of, depending on how do you want to trade, because right now we're seeing a huge base, like a, decade long base here, like a monster rounding bottom formation. It has tasted this level around 28, a couple of times in the past. More recently, literally went like a year ago. But if we drop the VWAP from the all-time highs, price is dancing right there, right? So, maybe if you want to anticipate a potential breakout of this reversal base, maybe you can use the VWAP here around 19, maybe wait for, more conviction. If we break above 30, I know it's a wide range, but I think you can even play that trade, using this VWAP. I like it. I like it.
I like it too. This is a good one. Good sector. I'm glad somebody brought this up. I saw this in the chat and I was like, we got to talk about this one, but I know we have to go. I want to thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. This was a lot of fun. Alfonso, it's a blast as always to hang out, do charts with you. So guys, we'll see you guys on Thursday. Is it Thursday?
No, next Monday. Next Monday, the same time, 1 p.m. Eastern time. Thank you everybody for being there, and see you guys next week. And hopefully, we'll answering your request next week. So send us your tickers to the mailbox, and we will do it for you. Okay. So thank you everybody.